up? Welcome to the Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. This is episode number 41, and I am Adam Choate. To follow this show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, and I'm at Adam Choate on Instagram as well if you want to follow me. And of course, I have no affiliation with the band. This is not an official podcast or anything. I am just a fan. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'm guessing there's a good chance that you are probably a fan of Tedeschi Trucks Band too. So please be sure to subscribe as well and give the show a positive review. A positive review on iTunes. Doing those things is definitely helpful for sure. So today's guest is Tedeschi Trucks Band superfan and past guest of this podcast, David Flamm. That was way back in April of 2020 for episode number 4. We catch up and talk music, and he tells me what he's been listening to these days. Marcus King, Blackberry Smoke. We talk some Marcus King at 1E. We get into some current TTB news and talk as well as we look forward to the rest of 2021, or try our best to at least. And of course, we talk more about the custom T-shirts that David's wife, Anne, makes and that they wear to shows. She designs and creates them, of course. They've got TTB lyrics and song titles on them. But let's just get into it. Once again, here's David Flamm. Okay, so it's good to see you today, David Flamm. Thank you for joining me on the Zoom.
Thank you, Adam. It's great to see you and reconnect.
Oh, for sure. Great to catch up again. Welcome back. How you been holding up since we last spoke? I guess it was April or May or something like that of 2020.
Yeah, been about 9 months, I think. Ann and I are hanging in there. We're fortunate enough to both work from home, and we're in the Atlanta area, and we're laying low. COVID's hitting pretty hard again, so we lay low and see our family socially distance. A lot of outside activity, when we get together.
Gotcha.
No concerts.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So, of course, this is your second time on the show. So why don't you give people sort of a quicker recap of sort of where you grew up and maybe some of the music you grew up watching and sort of how you got connected with Derek and Susan. We'll give them the quicker version and go down different tangents this time for sure.
Okay, sure. Grew up in the Atlanta area. First introduction to music was probably back in the early 70s when I first got into music and was really kind of turned on by friends and stuff. I have an older sister who grew up playing the piano, and I was kind of picking her brain recently. She actually attended the Atlanta Pop Festival back in 1969, about a month before Woodstock. And I think Janis Joplin was there, Led Zeppelin, Spirit, a lot of the classics. And so she kind of grew up in the hippie era, and I was about 10 years behind that. And got in, like I said, to music around the 72, I think. One of the first things I remember was a friend of mine getting something for his birthday. And what he wanted was Aqualung by Jethro Tull. Came out in 1971. I didn't even know what he was talking about. So I was a sports kid growing up. I played baseball, basketball, and football, and got into music, at about age 13. And jumped right into live music immediately. We're fortunate in Atlanta to be a big market, and we'd have concerts coming through, every week, a few concerts. I think in my first shows were in 73. I saw Alice Cooper. I saw The Who, Led Zeppelin, all came through in 1973, and caught the Allman Brothers for the first time in 1974. Obviously, it was after Dwayne and Barry, and really probably the album I played most of any was Fillmore East. So I was really into the Fillmore East album, and the Allman Brothers went through so many changes, and I kind of lost track with them until my buddy turned me back onto them when after Derek and Warren had joined up with them. And connected in with kind of the Allman Brothers and got introduced to Derek through the 1E Festival down in Florida back in 2013. And that's kind of when I got my first musical taste of Derek and Susan, and really kind of dove in headlong in 2015. And since then, seen, I think, almost 60 shows of TTB since 2015.
Damn, that was great. You did a great job summarizing us and sort of bringing us up to date with that short version. I appreciate that. What about the last year or so? Like, I seen you posting stuff about TTB in various Facebook groups and the memories, but what about like kind of what you're listening to? Just kind of the same stuff? Or are you discovering new music or different TTB stuff? What are you listening to these days lately?
Yeah, TTB certainly at the top of the list. Listening to them, I love Marcus King. Listen to a good bit of Marcus King. I love when he opens for TTB. I know he did the Wheels of Soul tour with them, but he's also done a couple of shows in the Southeast where it was just the two of them. Where Marcus King Band opened for TTB, and those are terrific. I like Blackberry Smoke. I know they've done a number of live streams and stuff like that, so I'm into them. Listen a little bit to the two sisters, I think, from Georgia, Larkin Poe. Something kind of new for me. I like that. And then I have a lifelong buddy of mine, and our two favorite bands growing up were Queen and Aerosmith. So far departure from TTB, and he's always sending me interesting things that he finds online. And I was actually listening in the last week to I guess it's a fan recording on God knows what from 1973 of Queen in England, and the taper had about 20 minutes of their sound check and then a show. So I was kind of digging into to that. One of my claim to fame is I got to see Freddie Mercury and Queen live 5 times, and I always thought he was like the greatest frontman that I ever saw through all the shows that I've seen. He was always my favorite, coming through the ranks. And then like I said, I listened to a lot of some Aerosmith stuff. I'm not as much into them anymore. One of the things that's been cool lately is Charlie Starr, the lead guy of Blackberry Smoke, who I think is incredibly talented. They have pulled out a song called Hangman Jury.
Yeah, the Aerosmith song, right?
Yes, an Aerosmith cover that they were doing. And they actually just played here in Atlanta back on the 15th. And unfortunately, due to COVID, my wife and I decided not to go. He and Benji Shanks do an acoustic show. Some folks maybe have seen that around the country. But they've been doing it in Atlanta for about 4 or 5 years. And this is our first year seeing that. So I was bummed. But fortunately, there was a lot of stuff on Facebook and YouTube, and I was able to catch a lot of the show that was just here. But that's kind of what I listened to. It's pretty narrow base. TTB, Blackberry Smoke, Marcus King, and then a couple of oldies. If I see some old videos, I love to see stuff from the 70s.
Yeah, it seems like people are, either just checking out the stuff they know or live streams, or diving deeper into the rarities, the bootlegs, the live stuff you may have heard before, stuff people are sending you. Are you as active or, proactive, even maybe a word, about being, about participating in the communities of various other bands besides Tedeschi Trucks? Are you in the Aerosmith group? Are you in like Blackberry Smoke groups, fan clubs? Are you like involved in other bands worlds too?
Yeah. Good question. Yeah. I am on Facebook with Blackberry Smoke and Marcus King, but definitely don't have the same connection with the fan base that I do with TTB. It's just, I don't know, for me, more of a family atmosphere with TTB. And when you go to a show, people are so much more friendly and, willing to chat with you, talk about commonalities and stuff like that. So I don't see quite as much of that from the Marcus group or the Blackberry Smoke group. I am on some things with with Aerosmith, mostly now really with Joe Perry, the lead guitarist. He's got some pages and stuff like that, and dig into some of that. But I really like the TTB sites on Facebook. I love the kind of fairly new the Susan page that's out there. I try to post a video of mine every Saturday, just kind of Happy Susan Saturday. So
You got a system.
Yeah. So if I got something that kind of kind of all features Susan, but I try to post one every week. Today I actually posted a picture of Derek on there that I had taken actually 2 years ago today. We were in Chattanooga, and Marcus opened for TTB, and we were fortunate enough to have front row there and got some real nice pictures and some videos. I posted on the fan page for TTB, A Midnight in Harlem. That's probably one of my favorite videos that I've ever done at all the shows. I tend to usually take videos of the slower songs, because when it's something more up tempo, I'm usually kind of getting my groove on, and I don't want to be videoing and everything.
That's a good strategy. Actually, that's a good strategy. I find it hard to keep my camera and my hands steady while I'm moving around myself. I'm not even looking through the viewfinder half the time when I'm taking pictures or video. Not that I take too much stuff, but I'm got the camera up, but I'm actually watching the screen, the stage rather, with my eyes at the same time.
Right. And your picture drifts off and you're doing this, that, or the other, who knows? But yeah, so it works better for me kind of on some of the more, mellow songs that, if we do happen to take a seat, something like that. But I always, want to be up and moving for, Made Up Mine and, stuff like that. You want to be moving around.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny and I've talked about this before, and I thought this podcast, this would be, not primarily, but a lot of it would be talking to people and fans who've been to recent shows and sort of talking about what you just talked about, but like within a day or a few days or a week of seeing the show, where everything's fresh, and telling me, their emotional reactions and what they saw and all the details, like really, fan perspective recaps of shows. So in another world, we would be having our second conversation perhaps, but this one would be about a show you went to last week or something like that. That's really, there's been 0 concerts by Tedeschi Trucks, pretty much 0 concerts overall since I started doing this podcast, which in some ways has been a blessing, because it's kept me busy and occupied with something that I'm passionate about. But I miss shows, and I would love to talk to people about new ones.
Sure. Absolutely. We want to create new memories, with the shows and the band, but it's certainly nice that we can look back on the ones that we do have from the years. And, as far as live music, I might just segue to my wife, Ann, and I. We've actually been to 2 concerts since the lockdown. They were both outdoors in a parking lot, and it's been with a group called the Murder Hornets. And I know some people out there will be familiar with the name, but really kind of started with Falcon, with Tyler Greenwell, who's lives here in the Atlanta area, Brandon Boone on bass, and a couple other local guys put together, and they played in a parking lot. And those are the only 2 live shows that we've seen, in the last, 11 months. And
I would have been there.
Yeah, they felt good. I mean, we wore masks outside. I mean, Anna, we're over 60. Some people wear masks, some weren't, but it was, you had like your own parking spot, and there was probably only, I don't know, 100, 200 people there. So small gig. And, it was just great to see live music, get a chance to kind of wave to Tyler and Brandon from a little bit afar, but to see them. So it was really, really kind of cool. That's been our live music experience over the last 11 months.
Yeah, I haven't been to any live music, but I have seen a few comedy shows that have been in similar venues, socially distant, masked parking lots, all that kind of thing. Did they play any TTB stuff? Do you remember what they played at all?
They did not. I don't think they played any TTB, but they had a second drummer. They had some keys. Dave Yoke played with them. Dave played in Susan's band for a while. Dave Yoke lives in the Atlanta area now. Just a lot of kind of rock and roll standards and stuff like that. But it was really, really terrific. Tyler Neal, who's another local guitarist here. Another young fellow, and I'm for Cody Madlock plays guitar. So I think they had 4 guitarists up on stage, and but no, I don't think they played any TTB. But we were fortunate. We saw 5 shows early in 2020. I think TTB got 20 shows in. That actually they had scheduled. That time off. We all know they had a lot of time off, but we did sneak in 5 shows at the beginning of the year. So we got a nice heavy dose at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it's great. It's funny to recall myself looking at the Tedeschi Trucks Band tour schedule, which I look at almost as much as my own Google Calendar for my own life. And I remember seeing, oh, look, they're going to be, they're taking a break for 2-3 months in 2020. That's kind of disappointing. I'm not going to have any new live music on the archive, whatever that tapers are uploading. Little did I know that 3 months would turn into a year plus. I mean, it was kind of where we're headed. I want to ask you about Marcus King, actually, because so many people bring him up. He seemed to be growing in popularity, seems super respected in the music community. The guy is an amazing singer, voice, guitar player. He's got the band. He's young. He seems like he's got so much going for him. But I'm just kind of curious, what is your sort of what do you love most about Marcus King and his band? Is it just what I described? Because it seems like he's at the top of everybody's list, and I enjoy his music too, and I play it, but not quite to the degree that I might listen to TTB or the Allman Brothers or other things. But that could change. But I'm curious about what do you love most about Marcus King and his music?
No, I'm glad you asked. I think what's similar to for me with him and TTB is the live performance is so much more than the album.
Right. I've seen him live, and I agree.
So digging into, seeing him live or listening to some of his live stuff and everything, I think what first got me, and I think we might have touched on this last time, but we can dive in. The first time actually I saw Marcus was at the Wani Festival as well. It's a couple of years after seeing Derek and Susan there. I don't think they were playing there anymore by the time Marcus played. And he played on the small stage there called the Mushroom Stage. And I'd never seen so many people out for he started at 11 in the morning, I think it was. And the place was just packed. Usually on a Friday at 11, it's pretty quiet. And I mean, it was packed. And you saw a lot of the musicians were actually out there in the audience. Junior Mac, I saw out there, Lamar Williams Jr. A lot of people were out there watching him. And I mean, the energy that came off the stage was amazing. And then his voice, I think, is really, incredible. So just his whole, I think the whole package with him and is incredible. I think hopefully, his band leadership will continue to evolve, maybe to get to somewhere near, Derek's spot. But I think he's also one that, his set list is kind of a suggestion. He'll kind of go different places in a show, and just the energy that he gives and being so young, and his guitar wizardry is second to none. I really like his bandmates, people he has in the band. His drummer's incredible. Unfortunately, they've gone through a few changes at the keyboard spot, and then sax player recently changed over. But real talented bass player, just a great group. Dig into it some more, Adam, because I think there is pretty good symmetry between Marcus and Derek, and love seeing them play. I would say Marcus is probably my favorite guest to see play with TTB.
Yeah, there's definitely some symmetry and some overlap between what the bands do, especially the soul aspect and having horns in their band. And with Marcus King, it's just like something about him and or his band is going to appeal to. And I could picture what you're describing, like just more and more people, surrounding the stage to see Marcus King play, a smaller set or whatever on a smaller stage at this festival, and all these pros coming up to check him out, because the guy is just like, he's proficient. And I mean, other more talented guitarists can comment to this, but just his ability and talent and proficiency on guitar is makes him stand out amongst even other guitar players. When you hear him, that guy, I don't want to use the phrase like better or more skilled or something like that, but he's upper echelon talent wise. And then you got the voice on top of it. It's just so soulful and ear catching and original, really. And then again, you got the soul aspect and the horns. So if you're into that might pull you into Marcus King. So who knows where that band and where he's going.
Absolutely. We've been fortunate here in Atlanta area. The photographer that kind of works with Marcus is a gal named Donna. Takes great pictures and so forth. And she's been really kind and has helped us kind of meet Marcus on a couple of occasions. And just such again, kind of like Derek's, just very down to earth, very humble. He's just a real nice young man to be around. You feel, real at ease immediately. And, a couple of things that come to mind with him playing with Derek, if I can share that with you. One time, I think it was in Augusta, Georgia, that he invited Derek to come out and play, and they did an old Derek Trucks Band song that was just unbelievable. I mean, and then they invited him out for Bob Dylan's "Don't Think Twice," and got to say hey to him after the show. He goes, "First time I've ever played that song." I mean, it's like they pulled him out, and he's like, "I've never even done this live before." And he came out and say he might have missed a word or two in a verse, but I mean, it was actually my favorite version of "Don't Think Twice" that TTB's done when he guested with them.
I remember watching. I've seen that's on YouTube. I've seen that. Yep. Yeah. Assuming it's really, the same performance. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And what about TTB? Have you been kind of following what they've been doing? I know they haven't put out too much, live streams. A couple of things here or there, little performances. I've caught national anthems. I just see with little articles that pop up here and there that they're writing, that they're meeting, they're looking for a new drummer. Maybe they have one and they've been rehearsing secretly and it hasn't been announced. What do you hear about news out of TTB?
Yeah, there was something that just came out this week, right? I think Susan did a little interview or whatever, alluding to maybe some, pay-per-view, live stuff coming up, streaming or whatever. So, gosh, I'm so excited for that. And I think she also alluded to, which I don't know how much has been out and about. I think they bought a place about an hour south of Atlanta. They've got a place, and I guess maybe they're playing some music there in addition to their studio. I'm guessing that they have a second drummer on board, or have been playing with several already. Like that.
They're narrowing it down,
but don't know who. I have I have one guess. Not much to go by, but I do have one thought, and we'll see if that plays out. Not somebody that I know or anything like that, but just something that a couple of us have kind of kicked around as a potential. So we'll see how that plays out. We always enjoyed even the replays that they were showing, from Red Rocks and the Ryman, the Beacon, different shows. Just been watching, as much as I can. I'm always watching whatever I can find, live or updates. Obviously, we've seen a couple of interviews with Derek. That one with the whiskey or whatever, that was a great interview with him drinking with that fellow and telling stories.
Yeah. The thing with music, especially, is that like I think you can relive the memories and they're most vivid just by listening to the music. it's one thing to watch an old, Super Bowl or World Series game that, your favorite team winning and reliving that, or watching an old TV show or movie, which can have a nostalgic, fun quality to it and even be enjoyable in terms of the content itself. But something about listening to music, it will bring you back to that moment. It will bring you back to those memories that are associated with that song or that band. And I think that's a powerful thing. And that's been helpful to stay us connected to the band, even when we haven't been able to see live music over the last year or so, for the most part.
Yeah, that's real fun for me, is re-listening or watching something from a show that I've been to. And that's been kind of one of my hobbies, is on the archive, the TTB archive, when you can get those old shows and so forth, the audios and everything, that I put them on a zip thing that I can play in my car. And when I was driving around a couple of months ago, I decided I was going to kind of relive the 2018 Wheels of the Soul show from the Fox Theater in Atlanta. And that was Marcus opening and then TTB. And I had recordings of both of those. So I played Marcus's set and then I played TTB's set. And it was like I was at that show again, reliving, being there and the different friends that we were with and everything. So it just kind of.
Right, exactly. Those were the shows in Oakland?
No, the Fox in Atlanta. That was
Fox
the Fox
in Atlanta. That's right. Different Fox.
The Fox.
I gotcha.
Fox in Atlanta with Marcus when he was. I think that was probably July of 18. I think, but Atlanta Fox. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what about plans for this year? I mean, I guess everything is kind of tentative. I know TTB has some shows scheduled for, I guess, June is their first shows on the calendar, as far as I understand. We'll see.
Yeah, I think the end of June, I think, is the first one at in their hometown of Jacksonville. We actually saw them at that Daly's place the first night that opened, which happened to be the day of Greg Allman's passing. And some people, I think, were talking about that on the Facebook not too long ago. But they played in Jacksonville and opened up the building there, and I think it was the first time they ever played Ain't Wasting Time No More. They opened with that in a tribute to Greg. And I don't think they had played that before that night. But yeah, they're supposed to open, I think, at Daly's. We don't have tickets for that, but it's tempting. It's kind of an outdoor arena, so that's tempting. But I kind of have my doubts whether or not that's going to happen.
Right.
We do have tickets for. There's 3 shows in Georgia, I think, scheduled for like July and August, but those 3 are all indoors. So not feeling great about the indoor shows happening. Maybe they'll somehow do a little bit of social distance outside shows. Maybe as the summer comes up, we can hope for that. But I know they want to wait and make sure everybody will be safe.
I wonder if there's they're considering the possibility of moving venues. It's in some of these cities. I'm sure that's a giant pain in the ass and a huge logistical issue for everyone behind the scenes and for the bands themselves out there trying to tour. But I'm wondering if that's something that more bands will consider, is just moving, just doing different venues, just coming up with creative solutions, not necessarily changing their schedules in their cities, but finding different venues. But that's not my field of expertise to know what's involved with all that, but might be helpful.
Yeah, kind of hoping that when we saw the first 2 Wheels of Soul, I think 15 and 16, they played at an amphitheater here in the Atlanta area, and then they moved inside to the Fox. I think the Fox does have a lot of meaning for them and everything. But yeah, it might be a good idea to revisit maybe an amphitheater in the Atlanta area and other places where they have any indoors scheduled. I know most of Wheels of Soul is usually in amphitheaters and outdoors and everything.
Right. So, yeah, especially summertime.
So hopefully, God willing, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, what I've been always saying is, of course I want to hit any show and every TTB show, I can, especially when they hit the, Southern California and the West Coast. but I want to be at the first one. I would love to get to that, whenever that first one is going to be. I don't know where it's going to be, probably in their neck of the woods, and maybe even something small, who knows. But that would be, I think that would be pretty special and exciting, and probably pretty emotional for everyone there. Like, for the fans, for the band to be together up there in front of playing with people again, and it'll be a little probably challenging playing with a new drummer at that point. But it would be incredible if I could somehow figure out a way to get to wherever that first one is, because I guess it's possible. Like, June is pretty far away still, that they might slide a special show in somewhere, a sneak preview, local, something or other. I don't know. It's a fantasy, I guess, but I think that would be fun to get to that first one.
I'm raising my hand. I'm right there with you. I would love to be at the first one back. Absolutely. And you would think they hopefully be debuting some new music, as we talked about, briefly earlier. You mentioned, it sounds like they're working on a lot of new songs, a lot of new material. So it'd be exciting to hear some new stuff along with the great stuff we already love.
Yeah, I know that. Like I said, they're working on new stuff, but I wonder, like, how far is that away from being played? And maybe not as far as away as we think, because, like, if I recall, like, hearing "Let Me Get By" and the song like that, I heard that they were playing that like 2 years before the album came out, and they were playing songs off Signs for a while before. I was going through the Signs album when it came out. I'm like, they played this one, they played this one, they played this one, they played almost all of these. Maybe not every concert or a lot, but they played, a bunch of them. But yeah, getting to that first one would be incredible. And maybe, if people like me and you and passionate fans are eager to get to those shows, it might be cool to run into some familiar faces and people I've never met but have spoke to on this show, who would, I have a feeling, probably be pretty eager to get to that first one as well. So that would be cool to connect with people in person as well.
Well, you're going to have to get over to the East Coast. Something tells me that
Right.
first one will probably be on the East Coast somewhere. So
No.
you have to get your tail over here.
Yeah. It's not going to be in LA. I think I ask every guest this. I feel like not every guest, but it popped into my mind again. But what do you know as far as why they don't really play Las Vegas, and they haven't done Vegas in like 6-7 years or whatever since 2014? It's just not
interesting. That's you stumped me on that one.
Right.
I don't know. That's don't know why they don't do Vegas.
It's too hot.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Maybe. I mean, they've got all different kinds of venues there. I don't know. What would be in the venue package there for them. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But
obviously,
I still haven't gotten to Red Rocks. So Ann and I are a bunch of our friends have said, "Look, you're going to Red Rocks. The next time they're there, you're going." I was like, "Okay, we got to go." So I don't know if that's going to happen this year or not either. We'll see.
Yeah, a lot of their tour schedule, seems to be focused on cities and sort of residencies, whether it's Chicago or the Ryman or the Beacon or a couple of shows at Red Rocks. It's doing 2, 3 or more shows at these various venues and cities. So I would think that, a travel destination like Vegas, they could easily do 2, 3 shows or more. And if, the fans have enough notice, which I'm sure they would, be willing to get out there and make a vacation out of it. Even people not necessarily even from the East Coast, everyone west of the Mississippi might be more eager to go to shows. But I want to go to a show anywhere.
Yeah. Just about anywhere right now. But we were talking before about listening to old shows and stuff, and one of your previous guests is probably the number one taper and video, Ed Gendelman. So I listened to a lot of his recordings and stuff, and we've been fortunate to make friends with him over the last couple of years, and he and a couple others came down from up north to the Macon show that kicked off 2020 back on January 15th of last year. They played it in Macon, and it's always special there. But Derek did not play the gold top this year. I don't know exactly what happened. They had it there. I don't know exactly.
Dwayne's guitar, right?
Yeah, Dwayne's gold top. He usually plays it when he's in Atlanta or Macon, usually in Georgia, but he didn't play it last year. I don't know what the reasoning there was, but that was a beautiful show, and that was their debut, their live debut of Hear Me.
Hear Me. Yeah, I was going to comment that because I know all these shows. I shouldn't say know all of them, but many of them. I'm like, 115. That was Hear Me because I remember, I searched for that. It was the first time they played that, right?
Yeah, first time. Yep.
Yeah. I love that song.
And that was a treat. And then we actually, Anna took a vacation. We spent a week in London. We went to the London show last year. That was on February 1st. That was our first time, seeing them out of the country, and definitely kind of a different type of audience, I guess, than what you get here.
I was going to ask, what is the difference between the American audience and the British audience?
Most places that we go here in the U.S., I mean, fans are kind of up and grooving and so forth. I think it's a little more laid back, where they, save their applause and everything for at the end of a song, in between, stuff like that, and not quite as much. But we were kind of up moving. It was, but it was more of like an arena type, which was different than being in more of a, kind of the theater type thing that we see here in the States. So it was a little bit bigger building. I don't know if the sound was quite as, for the building was great. Obviously their sound was terrific, but so it was interesting seeing them in a different state. Or different country, and we actually got to meet a few people that we had connected with on Facebook. A fella from Italy and lady from Wales, and so it's kind of fun. It was an international thing, and there was a couple of friends from the States were over there for the show. So we made it into a whole vacation. Anne had never been to London, and been a long time for me, so we just had a blast. It was great and fun to see them in a different location.
Yeah, like for that. Sure. No, that's cool, and that's been a big thing for me is connecting with all the different TTB fans from all over the country and even the world, I guess, through this podcast. And that's something that I thought about as I created this, developed this show. It's like, it'll be fun to connect with other people. But for that to actually be playing itself out and be meeting these other people and making these relationships and over something we love that we have this shared common bond with it's been awesome. And that's been like probably maybe even the best thing about doing this is connecting with all these other people and having these conversations. Because honestly, this is like what I was doing with my life before I started this podcast, is listening to TTB all the time, talking about TTB all the time, online in some capacity, talking about the band too in that form. So it's like I might as well like share these conversations and do something with all these thoughts and energy I'm putting into this band and try to produce something out of it. But yeah, I'm excited for music to return and TTB to return to the stage. Is there anything else we should cover or talk about? We don't have to necessarily have an epic 3-hour chat. We got some good stuff. It's been fun to catch up for sure.
Yeah, a couple of things. But you're just mentioning there, talking about it and everything. It might be cool for you in a future podcast to grab one of those international fans or something. Get a perspective from that side. Kind of connect from someone over there that's, I know there's people there that travel when they come to Europe. They hit them up in a bunch of different countries and stuff like that. That could be kind of cool. But just maybe a couple little shameless plugs for me before we cut out.
Go for it.
I was thinking about some things maybe we hadn't talked about, and on the TTB website, they've got some videos on there, and one of them is the Beacon from 2019, and it's them playing Shame. And if you catch the beginning of that, you'll see Susan pointing at stage and laughing, and that was it, me with my Shame T-shirt on.
I figured it was.
It was pretty funny. I was like, wow, I can't believe that was hilarious because it was just funny. So it kind of a cute story.
Yeah, of course, you and your wife make custom T-shirts that have phrases from song lyrics or song titles or something related to the band. And Susan and Derek are very, very aware of this, and the band is very aware that you guys are the T-shirt people.
Yeah, Ann does all the work. She's the creative one. So she does it all, and it's awesome. I think the matter of fact, the last show we were at was we did the 3-night run in Nashville at the Ryman. The last 3 shows that they did before their break and then the whole shutdown. And the last show, had nothing to do with us on the set list or whatever, but Ann was wearing a shirt that said, "Do I look worried?" And they played that during the first set. And then I think the Shame shirt that she made for me is like my favorite. So I probably wear that repeatedly. Most other ones are almost one and done. But I wore that one, I think, and I think they played Shame in the second set. So it was kind of funny. One of the few times we were wearing 2 different shirts and they played both songs in the same night. And that was the last night of the tour. And if people have gone to the Ryman, they know you hang out in the alleyway afterwards. And we were fortunate enough to 4 of us to get a picture, Ann and I to get a picture with Derek and Susan at what turned out to be the last show of the year. So that was
wow,
kind of a cool way to go into what we thought was a 3-month hiatus that's turned into a year, almost a year now. So
who knew? I don't think I asked you this last time. How many shirts has your wife and have you worn? How many are in the? How many you guys got?
I'm going to say she probably has made 2 dozen for each of us. I would say maybe something like that. It really started the first time we ever got front row seats, and that was at the Ryman, I think in 2018 maybe. So I think it was really like 18, 19, that we were kind of started with the T-shirts. I always bought band shirts and everything. And Ann's like, hey, maybe do something a little different. So it was that first show that we had front row seats. She made us shirts, and we were in the alleyway after the show, and we got to see Derek and Susan, some of the others, Mark Rivers, a couple of the others, and they were all just kind of laughing at the show. They were like, "We saw those. That's so it's crazy, whatever." And so it just kind of took off from the first night. We thought we were doing it one night, and then it just kind of took off from there. And we do it most shows, not every show, but most shows we're doing. Ann's doing something, so
that's fun.
But not at every.
But sounds like she's made 40 or 50, because if it's a couple dozen for both of you guys, and you guys doesn't sound like you wear the same shirts. It sounds like she's made 40, 50 unique, different shirts.
Yeah, about that.
Wow,
yes.
Damn, you guys have covered like the whole catalog. If there's 10, 12 songs on every album, but you know what? TTB has a stable or whatever of probably close to 100 songs that they do. So you have plenty of more T-shirts to make, my friend.
Yeah, there's plenty of material out there. And Ann's gotten into, like, say, sometimes just some of the lyrics now as opposed to a song title.
Deep cuts.
Some of the lyrics, and stuff like that and everything. So it's, And then hopefully we'll have some new music, right, in 2021. So you never know where it'll.
Shirts. Just got to hang in there, my friend.
Never know where it'll go. But it is nice. I mean, people come up to us at the concerts, and will say, hey, and, we've made a lot of friends that way. And it's, we love, kind of call it a TTB family, is close, like the band's a family. I think the fans are, a family as well. So we certainly love to cultivate, new friendships, through the music of the band.
Oh, for sure. That's well said, well put. And I definitely feel like, lucky to be even just a small part of that family is cool for me personally. Anything else like you want to cover or plug, mention? I'll give you the floor one more time and then let you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Adam. It's a pleasure. Feel honored to be the first two-time guest on your illustrious show here.
Oh,
But
thank you.
if if anybody's inclined, I do have over the pandemic, I created a YouTube channel. So I've got well over 100, I don't know, maybe up to 200 videos of TTB, Marcus King, Blackberry Smoke, shows that I've been to over the last couple of years. So there's, a lot of interesting material out there if you want to see it. I try to share some of it on Facebook, but there's a lot more stuff out there. If you're so inclined to, please check it out. I recorded it to share. I want to share it, so it's there for people just under my name. David Flamm on YouTube.
Sweet. I appreciate that, and I will definitely check that out. I got a good system going over here where I can mute commercials during basketball games or football games, and I pull up music. I'm like a DJ over here at the sports bar. Those advertisements didn't pay to be played in my house, so I gotta play the music. Otherwise, it's noise pollution. Cool. Thanks again. I appreciate it. I'm sure we'll talk soon. Maybe even catch each other at a show in one of these days, weeks, months, or years. And I think that's pretty much it for today.
Adam, I can't thank you enough for what you do for TTB and the fans. We really, really, really appreciate it.
Oh, for sure. I appreciate you guys, and that means a lot to me. Let's talk soon.
Sounds great.
You got it. Later. So there you go. My conversation with David Flamm. That was fun. We could talk TTB all day, I think. But I, again, thank David for his time, and it was good catching up. Anyway, for now, hope everyone out there is hanging in there so far this year. Happy New Year, again, to everyone. I'm going to say that for the rest of the month. That's how long you get. My rules, or what should be the rules. But for now, check out Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. That's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. And of course, remember to tap subscribe or follow on iTunes, Spotify, or via whichever way you listen to this show. And positive reviews, 5-star reviews on iTunes are greatly appreciated for sure. It helps the show. But I'm on Instagram, Twitter, at Adam Choit. And I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening, as always. Later.